What is your everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video, and in this video today we will be talking about how I would book AEW Dynasty 2024. And before we get to that, I do have a very big disclaimer to put out. So last time around, I did not end up doing a how I would book AEW Revolution pay-per-view event. I just kept putting it off. And by the time I'm like, oh, I should probably do that, a lot of the card had already taken shape, and I didn't, I just kept putting it off. And, this time around, I'm like, I have a clear vision of things that I would want to see take place at this Dynasty pay-per-view event. To be fair, I thought this video would be how I'd book Double or Nothing, but AEW's like, nope, we got a pay-per-view event before that, and it is titled Dynasty. Here's the big disclaimer. And it's the same thing that I say in all of my how I book / fantasy booking videos. The people I use / recommend on these cards are under contract to AEW. Now, I am filming this Wednesday, March 6th, prior to Dynamite. And I have said for weeks and weeks, AEW's probably got a lot of big changes that will take place. I think a lot of people can anticipate and see these changes coming. And, those are roster changes. So, while the rumor mill is saying that so-and-so and another so-and-so are joining the AEW roster, I don't have them on this Dynasty card. Because as of right now, they're not on the AEW roster. But if it is that dramatic and, y'all really want them, maybe I'll come back down the line and change it up a little bit. But again, that's a wait-and-see situation. So, 2 minutes in, let's get to this event. I will also say this. This isn't like, a big brain idea, whatnot. But, looking at the original picture they used for the poster for this event, the one that is in the thumbnail, if you notice, has all the champions on the poster. Now, they haven't went out of their way to say this specifically for this event, but, it kind of gave me the idea and the vision for this is that all of the AEW-related championships will be on the line on this version. So I have 11 total matches, 1 for the 0 hour, 10 all on the regular card. So 0 hour, as usual with this, a lot of times happens on the 0 hour, and FTW title match, the only unofficial AEW championship. I'm also not including the ROH titles. FTW title match, Hook versus Brian Cage. I also put in parentheses Powerhouse Hobbs. Now Hook and Brian Cage have been beefing for a number of weeks. They've not had a proper one-on-one match yet. And again, this event's like a month and some days away. I doubt that they wait that long to put this match off. But again, it would make sense that these two compete at some point. Now, the reason I threw Powerhouse Hobbs in there, I think I'd be slightly more interested in that match. And there's somewhat of a story and history there that I don't think they would necessarily care to tell. And that Powerhouse Hobbs is the only member of Team Taz that did not end up holding the FTW title. Because Brian Cage held it, Ricky Starks held it, Hook held it, Powerhouse Hobbs did not. Now, I know Team Taz is long gone, but I feel that that would be an interesting story. And also, I never really recommend using Powerhouse Hobbs on this event. And I really like Powerhouse Hobbs. And AEW, I would say they do, but they never book him consistently. So that's why I threw his name into that hat. Now, the first 2 matches that I talk about are probably the 2 best matchups that I could recommend, and the only 2 that are non-title matches. The first one, Bryan Danielson versus Kyle O'Reilly. Shout out to Kyle O'Reilly for making his return at Revolution. I have said this man's name so many times on fantasy booking videos just to be like, oh, he ain't even showing up. I need to quit rushing this man back from injury. And then the time that I don't, that's when he comes back. So I'm glad to see Kyle O'Reilly back. More of the point, this is a dream match. This is a match that I have wanted to see. Many people have wanted to see. I said this in my Bryan Danielson matches I want to see in 2024 video. Just get right to the point. Quit wasting time. You put stuff off too long, it might not ever happen. Let's just go straight to this matchup that everybody wants to see. Bryan Danielson, Kyle O'Reilly. That's the damn story. It's a dream matchup. So there's that. Next matchup. This one is craziness on another level, and it is Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. And I think right now, these are the two men with the most momentum. I'm not going to say biggest names in AEW right now, but they're just the two guys with the most momentum in AEW. Swerve, what's the best way? I'm trying to say this without it being extremely controversial, but it somewhat will be. But like, AEW has been Swerve's house, pun intended, and all of that. Now, Will Ospreay has debuted in AEW. He has a first official match under contract against Konosuke Takeshita. And I don't know if you would ever be in a company and not want to be world champion. Swerve Strickland wants to be world champion. Swerve Strickland wants to keep proving that, again, AEW is his house. Will Ospreay, kind of wants to take that opportunity. Now, again, this is going a little bit over borderline with it, but Will Ospreay is a member of the Don Callis family. Swerve Strickland is a member of the Mogul Embassy. You can have some faction warfare in between that if you want to, but again, I think more of the story is I think a lot of people would be down to see Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. So that's why I recommended it here. Now, like I said, the rest of these matchups are for AEW championships. This matchup is one that a lot of people have talked about wanting to see ever since these two groups have started intermingling with each other. I almost said colliding, but that has not happened yet. But for the AEW Trios Championships, the Acclaimed versus Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, I think it was just around, for some t-shirt sales. When they originally got together and I'm like, oh, they have a t-shirt, I'm like, yeah, this is probably going to be a thing for a minute. The minute has came and gone. Let's just see them collide since they're both technically trios. I'm not recommending anybody come back, rushing anybody back from injury, but Juice Robinson can get involved and take the place of Jay White. I would recommend that. But I think everybody wants to see the explosion of the Bang Bang Scissor Gang and Jay White move on to bigger and better things. Next matchup. A crazy-ass matchup that I feel has happened before in PWG. But if it has, A, I haven't seen it, and B, I didn't double-check/fact check it. But it's just a crazy-ass match. For the International Championship, Roderick Strong versus the Bastard Pac. Y'all might say Pac. I have always said Pac. Again, it's another return that we saw at the AEW Revolution event. Now, he wasn't there in the flesh, but it was via a video promo package. And another big thing that happened at Revolution is Roderick Strong becoming the International Champion. And in the past couple weeks of talking about him becoming the International Champion, I keep references his ROH days where he was television champion and he did Roddy vs. the World. And pretty much how he's going to duplicate that with this international title reign. I would hope so. And the Bastard, Pac, who was the first ever all-international champion, when it was the All-Atlantic Championship, I think a lot of people forget that. I do myself. It just makes sense that these two collide. And again, I think this is a crazy matchup. And again, if you want to intermingle their factions together, the Death Triangle and the Undisputed Kingdom, you could do that as well. But I think Roderick Strong and the Bastard Pac is a crazy match. And I was talking, I should have been Googling it, and I am now. Roderick Strong versus Pac. Dun, 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 dun. It happened in Ring of Honor before. That is actually crazy. During a UK tour. Now, did it happen in PWG as well? Because, I'd like some double points for that. There's a tag team version that happened in PWG. So, I'll give myself half points. Y'all don't care. Next matchup for the TBS title. Julia Hart defending against Sky Blue, Chris Statlander, and Willow Nightingale in a fatal four-way match. These four women have been battling for the past couple weeks in tag team singles matchups. And most recently at Revolution in a tag team matchup. And again, like I said earlier, if you're not in the wrestling industry to get championship gold, what the hell are you doing with? And especially in AEW, when you're a women's tag team, that doesn't really make the most sense. There's no women's tag team championships in AEW. I'm not recommending there be AEW women's tag team championships. But it's just at some point, you're going to want your championship gold. And it's kind of like these two teams, I'm saying that in quotations, might be overstepping each other's boundaries, and they just want to face each other all for the championship. I'm really struggling, but again, I think the picture is out there. They want the TBS championship. You don't need to be friends. You want the TBS championship. Next matchup for the Continental Crown Championship. I never really know what to call this championship. I always call it the Continental Crown. Eddie Kingston, whose shirt I am wearing today, versus Konosuke Takeshita, who, yes, he did lose at Revolution, but anytime this man competes, he has a lot of momentum and a lot of fanfare. And I felt that the match at Revolution against Will Ospreay kind of elevated him a little bit more. And definitely the same can be said with Eddie Kingston at his title defenses in his most recent one. And you can definitely say his best title defense was against Bryan Danielson. And these two men have competed in the past, but Konosuke Takeshita is a way better and way different competitor than in that previous matchup. And I always look at whoever I suggest be the Continental Crown champion. Most of the time I've recommended it being Bryan Danielson. He's like, yeah, I don't want any championships. But I've always thought of them as someone that will appear in AEW, New Japan, and Ring of Honor. And I know more than likely Takeshita wouldn't be appearing in those other two besides AEW, but, it's just a recommendation. And I think he has a lot of momentum that championship gold should be definitely in his future. There's a lot to freaking choose from. Next, for the Women's Championship. This match I have recommended so many times, and it just makes freaking sense. But apparently it does it to others. Toni Storm defending against Thunder Rosa. The story literally writes itself. Thunder Rosa was the AEW Women's Championship, and she went on a leave of absence because of injury. And then eventually the belt was vacated. But her last title defense was scheduled to be against Toni Storm. Now, a lot of time has passed since then. Thunder Rosa has returned, and guess what? Toni Storm is the AEW Women's Champion, and she has been on and off, but she's still the AEW Women's Champion. She's been the face of the AEW Women's Division during the time Thunder Rosa has been gone. I don't know why Thunder Rosa would come back and not win her championship, and we wouldn't see this match. It was supposed to happen. It has happened before at Forbidden Door 2022. And then, like I said, it's supposed to happen at All Out, and Thunder Rosa got injured. I don't know why they've put this match off for so long. So, I think this matchup makes sense to happen at some freaking point. Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa. And again, there might be a big change in the AEW Women's Division, and this matchup get put off. Again, we shall see. Next, the tag team titles that are currently vacated. Now, a tournament has been announced. The participants have not been announced. I will list the 8 teams I like to see competing in this tournament. Again, I'll recommend and I anticipate, like the Trios tournament, the inaugural Trios Tag Team Title Tournament, when the United Empire competed in that, I anticipate non-AEW tag teams competing in this, but like I said, when I fantasy book and all this crap, I only use people on the AEW roster. So, I'll go through the 8 teams I want to see in the tournament. Then I'll tell you what I would like to see in the finals take place at Dynasty. Again, I think the titles will be crowned before then, but I think Dynasty would be a great crowning point for them. But the 8 teams. Number 1, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. 2, FTR. 3, the House of Black. Any 3 as a 2-man duo, considering we've seen Malachi and Brody team up, we've seen Malachi and Buddy team up. Any of the 3 in a 2-man team. 4, oh my god, is that Private Party. 5, Top Flight. 6, the Hardys. 7, Ricky Starks and Big Bill. And number 8, the only team that is not truly teamed in a 2-on-2 fashion, Nick Wayne and Kill Switch, with my preferred finals. And so the match I'm recommending at Dynasty being the Blackpool Combat Club's Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli versus the House of Blacks, Malachi Black and Brody King. It's very weird that Brody King and Malachi have been in AEW. Brody debuted the beginning of 2022, and they have not chased after the 2-on-2 tag champions. They were obviously trios champions. And I know a lot of people have feelings towards House of Black, but I have always been a fan. That's why I'm recommending them being in this match. And again, the past couple of fantasy booking videos I've done, I'm like, I want to see the Blackpool Combat Club as tag team champions. So, better now than never. Number 10, another match I've recommended several times. But this time, probably the biggest stakes for this matchup, for the TNT Championship. And again, it's a match that has happened, so I can't be like, oh, they've never done this match. TNT Championship, Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland in a steel cage. Adam Copeland wants to seek revenge on Christian Cage because for like 5 minutes, Adam Copeland, or it was less than 5 minutes, he was TNT champion. And then Christian Cage evoked the rematch and the whole kill switch crap, and he ended up champion again. And he mentioned several times that he wants the championship. He wants revenge on Christian Cage. He got took out by the patriarchy. Don't know why they're not called the Christian Coalition. And I've been advocating for Adam Copeland to be TNT champion because there's a lot of dream matches that we want to see with Adam Copeland, and he's kind of started doing. He started doing it with the Cope Open, but it would feel a bigger deal if those matches were for their TNT championship. And again, the steel cage factor comes into play because A, AEW puts on great steel cage matches, and B, this would keep the patriarchy, aka Christian Coalition, out of the match. And then this is the last time these two need to face off one-on-one. And if y'all want to interact, y'all better be interacting as a damn tag team. That is just an AHS recommendation. As now we get to the last match. And a matchup that will happen at some point. So this one is not one that, this is my creation. The AEW World Championship. And again, I think that a lot of the matches on this card are main event worthy. So this one, maybe not the biggest, but it is definitely for the AEW World Championship. Samoa Joe versus Wardlow, as Wardlow won the All-Star Scramble at Revolution and has a world title shot. And I think there's a lot that plays into this match as these two faced off a handful of times last year in somewhat forgettable matchups. The Undisputed Kingdom, I've not been the biggest fan of, and I've critiqued a lot. With Wardlow having an AEW World title shot, kind of elevates them and makes them a slightly bigger deal. Adam Cole gets involved. Maybe another man who a lot of people think this Dynasty event is named after gets involved during or after this matchup. So this is a matchup, again, I think will take place. It has to take place at some point. I just recommended it being here. So those are the 11 matchups that I recommended. Again, my personal favorites are Bryan Danielson, Kyle O'Reilly versus Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay versus Swerve Strickland. I've said it several times that after Revolution has taken place. It's not long gone, but it was a great pay-per-view event. I don't have any complaints, and even if I did, it'd just be like, I'm extreme hate. So I'm not going to do that. But I've said several times, I think after Revolution, AEW is going to be doing some crazy-ass stuff. I'm making this video before Dynamite because I didn't want my vision / recommendations changed in any format. So I know that once 7 o'clock hits, something more than likely would change with this. So that's why I'm doing this before. And like I said, if something like really, really dramatic and like somebody like comes out and drops money all over the sky and whatnot, I'll come back and, might change this up a little bit. So right now, I'm just dragging on. Thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.